Hey guys, in today's video I'm going to ride over to Madison, North Carolina. A small town of about 3,000 people. Is conveniently located only about half an hour from Greensboro, High Point, and Winston-Salem. Now, as I enter Madison, there are remains of an old motor lodge named Grogan's Tourist Court. This is my first stop. It is on the banks of the Dan River by the bridge that crosses into Madison. We're going to stop and take a look at what's left of the buildings. While I'm there, I want to get some photos of Grogan's and also of the Dan River. I'll saddle back up and ride into historic Madison. My second stop is going to be at the town clock. This is an iconic landmark of Madison. I will tell you a little bit about its history and get some more photos. Now, my final stop is going to be at Madison Dry Goods Country Store, and we're going to sit down and visit with the owner, Richard Miller. While talking to Richard, I want to learn more about his store and his museum. A room in the museum is about the Lawson family tragedy, a crime so shocking that it grabbed the entire nation's attention 90 years ago. At this time, thousands flocked to this sensational crime scene. The building his store is located in played a role in this tragedy. I want to find out more about it from Richard and about the hauntings in this building since this time. Now, I want to go ahead and get there, so let's speed up this tape and roll out. This is a photo of an original postcard from Grogan's Tourist Court, our first stop. In 1931, Grogan's Tourist Court, a motor lodge, was built off of Highway 220 outside of Madison, North Carolina. At this time, Highway 220 was a major thoroughfare for traffic heading to Washington, D.C. There were only about 8,000 registered vehicles in 1900. By 1930, there were around 23 million. Owning a vehicle had become a part of the American dream. Over the next 10 years, the United States infrastructure was dramatically built out as part of the public works program created under the New Deal. These programs were intended to help the country recover from the Great Depression. However, it resulted in the golden years for the American automobile over the next couple of decades. Grogan's Tourist Court was a showcase example of this period of time in our history. This was one of the real gems of North Carolina during this time. If you search YouTube, you can see some of the original marketing videos from Grogan's. I will provide a link down in the description. While you're checking it out, make sure you like the video, subscribe to our channel, and make sure you hit that bell so you're notified when we come out with a new video. Here we are in Madison, North Carolina, and this is the Grogan's Tourist Court. This is an old stone building, and we're gonna I'm gonna walk you around the outside so you can take a quick look at it. So you can see here that it's kind of on the edge of a hill, and all of these down here, there's some doors that are open, but this was all rooms down here. There's rooms on the lower floor. As we go around the corner, you're going to see the office. And then they had rooms up on the second floor. And then across the road, they had suites that had garages. But we're going to come up here. This is the bridge right here that goes over the Dan River. And this, across the street, is the old Grogan restaurant. But those buildings over there were the suites where they had the garages. But we're gonna come back here.
the old office, and we're gonna just take a quick look down the side. You can see how it was stone. We've got some real overgrowth. There's some panels on the doors that are knocked out, so we can take a quick look inside maybe. Creepy. And that is the old Grogan's Tourist Court. Back in the day, it was really quite a place in the 50s. A lot of people would come by here just to be able to stop and eat at the restaurant and stay here. We're gonna go across the street and take a quick look at the suites over there that had the garages. So let's go down here and take a quick look. So here's the side of it. But you can see how the rooms here had garages. All right, here we are at the Dan River. We're standing on the bridge. We've got quite a bit of traffic coming across this bridge here, but I wanted to give you guys a quick look at the Dan River. So let's turn this around.
The town of Madison is named after our fourth president and goes back to the early 1800s, even though it wasn't incorporated until after the Civil War in 1873. In the early 1800s, trade came to this area through a network of navigable rivers. These rivers were used by traders to move their goods using a boat called a bateau. In the early 1800s, trains brought more people and industry to this fledgling town.
Here we are in downtown Madison, North Carolina.
In the early 1900s, the Penn Brothers Suspender Company was established here and is known as Jim Dandy Incorporated. They sell belts and accessories with such well-known brands as Greg Norman, Pebble Beach, PGA Tour, and John Deere, among others. Not too far from their main facility in downtown, we will take a look at one of the landmarks in Madison, the town clock, and Jim Dandy happens to own the building that houses this clock. In 1968, the rights to this clock were transferred over to the city. This clock was originally purchased by the residents of Madison as a World War I memorial. The face of the clock reads, "To all who served." I visited the Mad Bean Coffee Shop and Deli just up the road from the town clock. I had a terrific hot roast beef sandwich. It had wonderful onions chopped up in the melted cheese, and I ordered it on ciabatta bread. It was delicious. I also had a great sugar-free vanilla latte, and with my diabetes, it was just the treat that I needed. I got to speak with the owner, Daniel Joyce. He gave me some great insights in this area that only a local would have. We discussed a town named Avalon that was close by. This once thriving town disappeared in less than a year. Today you will not find Avalon on any maps, but at the time it had been a thriving community. You can still see the old foundations where the houses once stood. Now, in my next video, I'll visit the next town up the river, Mayadan, and I will tell you how Mayadan ended up in the Guinness Book of World Records. And we will also go and talk a little bit more about that town I just told you about, Avalon. And I will let you know how it just vanished from the map. So make sure you subscribe and hit the bell for notifications so you will know when it's out. Madison Dry Goods has been a cornerstone business in the historic downtown over the past 25 years. It is a country store that makes you reminiscent of simpler times and bring back nostalgic memories of times gone by. The store and the building has been used as a set for several movies. Also, this building is where the bodies of the Lawson family were embalmed. Over the years, there have been some unsettling occurrences that have led some to believe that this building is haunted. If you are in the area of Madison, North Carolina, this is a must stop. The most interesting thing about Madison Dry Goods Store is the charismatic owner, Richard Miller. He is a wonderful person to sit down and visit with, and this is exactly what I did. We talked about the town, his store, and the Lawson Family Murders.
So to answer your real question, why would I come to a small town? It was a cost, the accessibility to an airport, accessibility to trucks to be able to pull up front, and the UPS to deliver. And we just like the small town feel. I lived in Mount Area in the early 70s when I got out of the service, and I just liked the small town fit. And so the whole thing just fit, and it's evolved into a real good business over the years by making the changes. And the thing that we feel good about when people come in here, we always hear this, I remember when. We have a lot of older folks, of course I'm in that category now since I've been here 25 years, of remembering the things that they've seen from the past. So whether somebody buys something from us or not, that's not the most important thing to us. The most important thing to us, are you comfortable when you come in? Do you enjoy the conversation that we'll have with you? Do you enjoy looking at the things? And will you come back again? And that's what we've tried to do over these years, is give people a hometown feeling. And after being here all these years, we've become family. We've had kids that work for us in high school who now have kids. So I think you can do that in a small town. I think it'd be hard to do that in a mall someplace or a big box surrounded by big box stores. It's just not the same. People come in on Thanksgiving, the same family's been coming in, they've been sitting on the bench, and they've taken pictures for years. They all sit at the same place, and they have a whole album of the past years that come into Madison Dry Goods. So it's a family place. So many times if someone's visiting from out of town, whether in Reedsville or Greensboro or Eden or Martinsville or Stokes County, they'll bring their friends here because it's a feel-good place.
The Lawson family tragedy shocked our nation 90 years ago. It is one of the worst events in this region's history. In 1929, the nation was enjoying a strong economy. Times were good. People were becoming upwardly mobile across the country. This included Charlie Lawson, who had worked as a tenant tobacco farmer, but 2 years prior had saved enough money to buy his own farm in Germantown, North Carolina. Charlie Lawson was considered a well-to-do farmer. On Christmas Day of that year, Charlie Lawson murdered 7 of his 8 family members. The only survivor was his oldest son, who was away from the house when the murders happened. Charlie's motivation for this horrible crime has been a mystery. 2 notes were found in his pockets. The first read, "Trouble can cause," and the other, "Nobody to blame." Several books have been written about the murders over the years, and different theories have been put forward. One theory is that Charlie Lawson had suffered a head injury and had been complaining of headaches to his doctor. Friends and family said that Charlie had been having erratic behavior and theorized that the trauma to his brain was related to the massacre. However, no brain damage was discovered during the autopsy. This macabre scene became a national sensation. Charlie Lawson's brother opened the crime scene up for public tours. Thousands of visitors came to see the scene, including the infamous mobster John Dillinger. He had recently escaped from prison and made a detour to the scene of the crime while fleeing to Florida. But before he left town, Dillinger made sure to stop and drop off a note taunting the local police officers. The bodies of the family were taken to the building that the Madison dry goods store is located in. At that time, the back portion of the building was used as a funeral parlor. The bodies were embalmed and autopsied in the upstairs. There have been strange occurrences in this building over the years that have led many to consider that this building is haunted. Seers and ghost hunters have visited and have determined that there is unusual activity here. The second floor has a small historic museum, including some relics and pictures of this horrible crime.
Ask them about the Charlie Lawson family, which, by the way, this year is their 90th year anniversary. And I lived in Stokes County for a number of years, and so I learned about Charlie Lawson's family tragedy when I lived over there. And in fact, my ex-wife's family, mother used to sing the ballad to the kids when they were growing up, and I found out a lot of people in Stokes County sang that ballad to the kids growing up. So there was some familiarity about the Charlie Lawson tragedy. However, I didn't know a whole lot of details, except I knew it happened on Christmas Day in 1929. So when I came here, I did rent the building up the street for my wholesale division portion of it, but I rented the building down here just for my retail. So I'd been in there maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and this guy came by and introduced himself to him. He said, "Oh, well, welcome to Madison." And he says, "Oh, you're in the building where they embalmed the Charlie Lawson family." I said, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah, look at this picture." So he brought this picture out, and he showed all the bodies rolled up in canvas out in front of the store, and where the elevator is. And of course, I thought that was pretty interesting. And back then, we didn't have cell phones. Otherwise, I would have gotten a picture of it. I've never seen the picture again. I don't know who the guy was. But so then I started learning about it. And so my office was on the second floor, and come to find out that was the embalming room, which I thought was kind of interesting. I used to have I always kind of felt like something floating by me, but I didn't think too much about it. So after I entered the building, then I did a lot more got more information than people would inform me about it. So they had told me that.
When did you first learn that this building might be haunted?
Well, the first time I discovered that the building was haunted, and I kind of believe in things like that, so I wasn't a skeptic about it. There was a little boy here one time and grabbed his dad's arm, and this has been probably 10 years ago or something like that, and he wouldn't go upstairs because there was a little girl up there. So that was the first time people started seeing things, and we found it's either kids or women.
Okay.
For some reason, I don't know. Now, I always felt some type of feelings when my office was in the embalming room. And I've been here on the weekends on a Sunday one time, and I thought my wife had come in, and I'd yell, "Hey, I'll be there in a minute." There wasn't anybody here. So there's always been some type of movement, or pictures have been moved and things. But just the feeling of someone seeing things started a few years ago, and now that's happened about 5 different times. And so the paranormal people have been here, and actually they got movement from the heat, and they're going to come back and everything. So, but to answer that question, it's been several years, but to actually have people tell me they've seen something, or I've had people come down, my arms, they just got chilly, or the hair stood up my arms, or there was a girl one time that got about a fourth of the way down the hallway upstairs in the museum and wouldn't go any farther because the girl was standing there, and the girl has a white dress. And the other thing that's interesting is that we have a picture upstairs on the kid's white casket with a little girl about that age. And it's been a few years ago when I came in, there's no leaks on the roof, there's tears under the eyes. And if you look at the picture, you'll see it. And I don't know, I'm not the person to come up with that. We've had the FBI profilers came in several years ago, heard about the place, and they came in and looked around, never really gave me any type of reports. We've had somebody else come in and spend a few hours here, but then we had a paranormal group that came in about 2.5 months ago, and they said it could be daytime, nighttime. There's no particular time when there could be paranormal movement around.
thanks for sticking around until the end. This wraps it up for this video, and I hope that you learned a little bit about our North Carolina story. Please leave a comment below. We would love to hear from you. Now, there are 3 ways that you can support us in making these videos. The easiest, number 1, is click the subscribe button, make sure that you like the video, and ring the bell so that you're notified of future videos. Number 2, you can support us financially through Patreon. I will provide a link below in the subscription. And lastly, you can purchase a high quality print of one of the photos that you saw in the video. I'll provide a link to our store in the description as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.